Hello.
Hey, Shannon, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I got these fancy bricks behind me now.
I like it.
Thank you.
So first off, thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
Um,
this is awesome.
yeah, for sure. It's a lot of fun, and it's really cool what you can do on the internet.
Yeah.
But do you want to go first through like a little bit of an intro about who you are? Everything that you're working on and everything right now.
Yeah, I can do that. So first off, my name's Shannon. Um, I was born in the south suburbs of Chicago and never left. Um, Went to the Art Institute for college for graphic design. Um, and then me and my dad started our own screen printing company back in 2016. We both unfortunately got laid off from our jobs, so it's kind of like, what are we doing now? And at the time, I was the drummer in a pop punk band. Um, so we were like at the point where we needed merch, and so we were like, why don't we make our own? So we started the Wicked City Apparel for T-shirts, and started making merch for my own band, and then it kind of sprawled out from there. So been doing that ever since.
Nice.
Um, yeah, it's been a wild ride. Um, so 3 months ago, I finally quit my full time graphic design position, and I've been doing freelance ever since. So it's been a roller coaster over the last 3 months, but a lot of cool opportunities have come up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's kind of funny that you started off with mentioning like how you got started into like the merch design business and everything because I think that's how I came across who you were as a person and as a company
Oh.
because I I have like a random band shirt from Capstan that you designed.
Oh. Okay.
And I'm friends with um, the the band who's going to be headlining on Sunday, which is Guardrail. They're from Chicago too, and I know that
Mm-hmm.
you did a couple of shirt designs for them. And Kevin was actually the one who told me about you and your company. So yeah, so that's kind of
Yeah.
like full circle.
Guardrail's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we used to play shows together back in the day.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Oh. Yeah.
Very cool. So do you want to talk a little bit about what your like what your major influences are for your artwork and everything?
Oh yeah. So I guess early on, one of my biggest influences was traditional Japanese art. My grandma is actually Japanese and my mom's Japanese, and so I always had like a lot of things laying around. I actually have one that's been hanging on the wall forever. I don't know. Oh, probably can't see it with the green screen. There you go. So it's kind of carved out of bamboo.
Okay.
So it's like a bird and flowers, and a lot of that imagery kind of influenced me early on with like the wood carving, kind of
Mhm.
with the birds and fans and nature. Um, and then when I started getting into music, my brother used to always take me to concerts, and we'd go to Warp Tour together. And so Dan Mumford's art was always one of my favorites. So I have lots of his posters, and like the fact that they're screen printed is mind blowing because
Mhm.
it's just, I don't know if you've seen his work. He did a lot of the early A Day to Remember
Yeah, that's like
stuff, but
my favorite stuff.
yeah, and now he's doing like movie posters and just crazy stuff. But like the fact that it's 6 colors and it's so like he's creating worlds, so that's always been a huge influence for my work. And I guess now it's kind of, I'm kind of trying to merge a little bit into like the world of like game design and comic books. So my boyfriend actually introduced me to a comic book called Saga. So Fiona Staples has actually become like one of my favorite artists. So I'm really influenced by her comic book art and character creation.
Mhm.
So
Nice. That's
yeah,
cool
and plus
to see how
yeah
like
the
your
wor-
influences have like evolved and everything.
yeah, especially like now with Instagram, you can go log on and be on your newsfeed and just be introduced to like hundreds of artists. And I feel
Mhm.
like I saved so many posts, I it's impossible to even remember all of their names, but it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
it's very influential.
Yeah, I have a whole saved folder of things that like I don't know if I'll ever come back to it, but like that's yeah, it's so cool that like social media allows you to do that because that's that's exactly what I do. I like just scroll through and I'm like always saving like all these different things. But yeah, no, it's really cool. So with your influences then, obviously that's like your current works you said are more like comic book universe sort of influenced. Um
Yeah, I'm trying to go for that, but it's kind of like there's two different worlds going on. I always feel like graphic design and then illustration, and it's always kind of kept separate. So
mhm,
I kind of feel like graphic design is what pays the bills. So it's not always the most creative work, like doing billboards and working with like other brands and their styles and stuff. But obviously, my passion is with illustration. So my boyfriend actually writes these amazing stories, and I'm in the process of turning them into comic books. But I've never made a comic book before, so it's definitely been uh, a learning process.
mhm.
So that's kind of what I want to do. I want to make more characters and
Nice. Yeah, that's cool that you guys can like collab on that kind of stuff and just kind of build it from there.
yeah.
So what would you say is like what motivated you towards going into like that comic book world?
Um, Probably. Uh, I don't know. Just there's something so appealing about going into a different world, especially now, like with COVID and let's be honest, reality sucks a little bit right now. Um, so it's kind of like just being able to go into a different like fantasy world where a
Mhm.
different story is going on and you can relate with characters is
Yeah.
just so much more appealing than like being in reality sometimes. So it's nice after like a long day to like dive into a different story or go into a video game or just create something that's different than what you're experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like stuff like that is such a especially like you said now with, the world being in the state that it is and on top of that COVID still going on and I guess escalating currently unfortunately. It's nice to have like that escape. Um
Hmm.
that's so cool that you've been able to do that. For me, like I've started reading books a lot more. I try not to binge Netflix as much as I used to, but well, yeah, it's cool to just be able to like get away from the world as we know it right now.
Yeah, definitely. Escape would be, that was the word I was looking for. So
Yeah,
yeah, that describes it perfectly.
that's awesome. So congrats on quitting your full-time graphic design job. That's what was that like for you? Like I know you said it's been a really busy few months. What was that like for you? Like what helped you take that step? Like I know you said you were I don't remember if I have the timeline right or anything, but I know you said about you and your dad were laid off, and then you started your Wicked City Prince or Wicked City Apparel, um, and everything. But what led you to be like, you know what, I'm done with this whole graphic design thing, like at an actual job.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's always overlapped. Where I've never actually done my own thing full time. So when I was started Wicked City, I also worked at Starbucks. Um, and then I got another position as a graphic designer in a packaging company.
Hmm.
So I worked there for 3 years, and I guess I've always been a super anxious person, and I'm always like thinking about the future and trying to run every scenario in my head. And it kind of got to the point where it was like, okay, if I don't do it, I'm never going to do it. So
Hmm.
it's just like super nerve wracking and just take the plunge and see where things go. Um, and it was actually, I think it was a comment I read on a TikTok. Um, but someone said like overthinking things is like our own block to growth. Like we're
Mhm.
blocking ourselves from moving forward by overthinking things too much. So I've been trying to not overthink as much and just do the things.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, that's the thing. Like you just have to do it. Everybody's always what if, and yeah, just kind of a turning point. I have to do it, and so far there have been no regrets. So
That's fantastic. That's awesome that you were able to, just kinda, like, give yourself that final push and just do it even though it's scary as hell, I'm sure. Because, I mean, I can relate to you to a certain extent with being an overthinker myself as, I'm a very anxious person, so that's really cool that you were able to just kinda, be like, "You know what? I'm done with having this stand in my way, I'm just gonna do it."
yeah, it's only scary until you do it, which is kind of goes for everything.
Yeah.
So once you just do it, other things can happen, and you can grow. And yeah, it was kind of like what Myron was saying. Like if you manifest stuff, things will start to happen.
Yeah, speaking it into existence has been like a thing that I've been trying to do recently because as wild as it sounds, it really does help you like be like, you know what? That's actually, I think I'm just gonna go and do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Um, so what kind of so I've noticed on your social media and on your website that you work with a brewing company. And
Mhm.
you do a lot of labels for them, and I think I saw you did like their van design and everything.
Yeah, they're wrapped for their delivery van and stuff,
Nice.
and we've done
That's
some merch for
awesome.
them too.
That's cool. I feel like, at least from what I've seen, like on different like brewing companies, like do you feel like that gives you like um, kind of like parameters to work in, but also like allows you to be creative as opposed to when you were talking about like graphic design as like more set within guidelines of what companies are looking for.
Yeah, I'd actually say that with More Brewing, the company that I've been doing labels for, that they're the only company so far that has like blended the lines between like the graphic design world and the illustration world. And there is a parameter like size, and usually there's a subject matter to it. Like they'll have a specific like name of the brew and stuff, or like the type of ingredients that are going in. But for the most part, they let me just do whatever I feel like fits it best. Um, which can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming. Um, but sometimes they're like, this, and this would look cool. And
Mhm.
sometimes I feel like being in the guidelines forces me to be a little bit more creative than if it was just like a free for all.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I guess it depends on the brew, because I think I've done 65 labels so far.
Wow,
So each one is pretty different.
nice.
So but yeah, I get to illustrate stuff a lot, so that's kind of I think they're my favorite to work with.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I've seen a bunch of the labels that you've done, and it's just really cool that like you said, that allows you to blend like the illustration, the graphic design. So like you kind of get the best of both worlds. And you get like the creative freedom most of the time to really just kind of take it in whatever direction you want to.
Yeah.
Very cool. So is there any I guess so I know you do a lot of merch designs for bands and anything. Is there anything that's like in your top 5 that you've ever designed that's like one of your favorite things that's been like put on like a piece of merch or anything?
Um oh boy, I don't know. So that's probably something that I struggle with too, is it's kind of like a cycle of you create something, and while you're doing it, there's always art memes about it. You're just like, wow, this looks like crap.
Mhm.
And and then you learn to like it a little bit, and then at the end it's kind of like a love-hate relationship.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I have a favorite of things that I've created.
Mhm.
Um Probably I don't know. I really enjoyed doing since Guardrails doing this too. Their Halloween design. That was one of
Mhm.
my favorites, and we screen printed it too. So it was 3 colors, but um, that was super cool. So I'd say I like working with them a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah, it looks like you've been involved with a ton of different bands, whether it be locally or, beyond that. So that's really cool that you kind of got like that network going.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without the bands. I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely a very supportive community.
Hmm. Um, let's see what else. Is there anything that you are planning to do in the near future, like with your now that you're doing like your own kind of business thing? Or is there anything that you're looking forward to in the future, like any bigger goals, or is it just kind of continuing to chug along and figure things out as you go?
Um, I've always wanted to do I've always wanted to do the comic books. So I actually I'm almost done with the first short story. Um, but I think he's at like 20 short stories right now. So
Hmm.
I'm very slowly getting those done. But I've always wanted to do a tarot card deck too. But that's like one of the things that I struggle with, I think, is series. Um, so I'm kind of learning to be patient with myself more.
Hmm.
Um, and instead of just like trying to get a piece done as fast as possible, slowing down and like creating a series of the piece so
Hmm.
that you're forced to like live in it a little bit more. Um, but I've always kind of like I'm noticing that with the comic book too right now. Like I drew the first page and now I'm on like the eighth page, and then I look and I'm like, well, I got better. So the eighth page looks a lot better than the first page. So I'm trying to fight the urge to like go back and redo the whole thing.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I'm kind of learning to just like let things go a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, so that's kind of what I struggle with a little bit. So I think I want to force myself to do more um, larger series of things.
Yeah, definitely. Do you do you struggle with like a perfectionism kind of thing? Because I know I do when it comes to
Yeah,
designing things, and like that's why like something that seems like would take only a small amount of time for some people, I'm just like I stare at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't
yeah,
know.
definitely. Yeah, actually, my dad, I think, joined the chat as our company.
Oh yeah,
So he's saying stuff in the chat right now. So he wants to try screen printing posters. Um,
nice.
so that's probably what we'll be doing in the near future too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So
is
and
there?
probably festivals too, because this is my I've actually never used Twitch before.
Mhm.
Um, I like made an account, never really figured out how to do it. So this is actually my first ever like involvement art wise into a festival or an event. So one, thank you so much for letting me do this. But I kind of feel like I need to do more maybe.
Mhm.
So I was hoping maybe I'll do like Renegade Festival in Chicago.
Mhm.
It's like
Nice.
another push forward.
Yeah, definitely. It's cool to I mean, I've never been involved in Twitch until we started the network, and that was like what our base is going to be on. So I was like, I guess I better learn what the heck it is. um, but yeah, no, it's really cool to be able to develop a festival like this, and there's just so many talented people that we're all connected with, or that we want to be connected with. So thanks for responding to my email.
Yeah,
um,
well, thank you for sending it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got a really cool collab piece that you created for us. Like that's I love that piece, and I'm really glad that we could like bring it to life and put it like on a poster as well as merch and stuff, because I will definitely be snagging some of those. um
No, well, I'm glad you liked it.
yeah, absolutely. So is there so with Wicked City, do you guys have a something that you're aside from like printing posters, is there anything else that you want to start including in like your printing process, like a different type of merch or something, or anything else that you guys would like to do to grow that?
Um, well, I think like for right now, we like working with bands.
Mhm.
Because it got to the point where we were like word of mouth spread a little bit, so we were working with a little bit like larger companies, and some schools came to us, so we were doing like hundreds and hundreds of like school merch, which was just like the school logo on it.
Yeah.
Um, which is very time consuming because it's just two of us, and we converted part of the house into a screen printing shop.
Nice.
Um, so I think we kind of lost track of like what we really wanted to do with the company, which was be able to supply bands with merch that was affordable. Because a lot of times, like if you go to like custom ink and you only want like 20 shirts, it'll cost like $30 a shirt, which
Yeah.
is not reasonable for like a local level band. So we kind of just want to grow that part of it, just continue working with local level musicians and other artists, and like make it possible for them to be able to put their stuff on garments.
Mhm.
Whereas like if you order it online, usually it's not even in the books for some people.
Yeah,
So
definitely. No, that's super cool that you guys are well, that's really like the goal for you because it's I can totally see how once you start networking with people and businesses and stuff, how you can lose sight of like what you're actually were working towards because you get busy with all this stuff that like you're capable of doing like you said like with printing stuff for schools and everything, but it's like it takes so much time because it's just you and your dad that it's like you struggle to get back to that. But that's really cool that you guys still have like a very like a vision of what you're looking to stay towards because that's I know in the music world, especially at like the DIY and local levels, that's like a very big that's huge for people is like especially when they're just starting out is trying to find stuff that's affordable that they can really work with the artists and everything.
yeah, exactly. Because I still remember like when I was first in a band, uh, that was just a huge like eye opener. Like trying to, and I designed most of our stuff myself, which would be like an added cost on a band that didn't have somebody that was creating merch internally.
Hmm.
So it's just it the costs add up and it just gets super expensive. And so we were just like, let's do it ourselves. So before me and my dad started the printing company, me and our bassist, we just bought a screen at like Michael's, and we're like, let's try and print this ourselves. So we're like standing there with a heat gun and like a tank top.
Hmm.
So we printed like our first like 20 shirts like that, and so each one was a little bit different because we were
Hmm.
screen printing by hand with like no machinery, just like holding the screen down to the table.
Hmm.
But it worked, and people bought it, and um, but I just remember like that moment, like where oh, we have to do it ourselves because there's no other way. So just being able to help other bands be able
Hmm.
to get some merch and help them out a little bit, it's a good purpose.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of cool to hear like, how your business has evolved over the years. Um like that's pretty cool just to see like, you go from like you said making shirts that are a little bit different each one because you are doing it pretty much piece by hand. But yeah, that's awesome. So I wanted to ask you, so our festival is about self-expression and what gives us hope through artwork and everything. So I know we kind of dabbled a little bit with it earlier, but what would you say um, art does for you, like in the sense of giving you hope? I know you said it helps you escape from things, but is there anything else you wanted to add on to that?
Um, Probably the main thing would be, I guess, like, well, like a lot of artists too, school wasn't always the greatest for me. Um, so art was kind of like a way to calm my nerves a little bit. Because I'm always super anxious. Like even now, like I'm playing with pens and stuff down here.
Hmm.
Um, but it's kind of just a grounder almost. So like whenever I'd be in class or at parties or any like social event, I'd always make sure I had a sketchbook with me, because just moving with my hands, and even if it's just like an abstract thing, it helps just relieve and help me cope with like my anxiety. Um, but it's also been like it's a good icebreaker.
Mhm.
So whenever I'd have to like go to parties and stuff, which I'm not a very like extroverted person at all, I'd always have my iPad or a sketchbook with me, and I'd be drawing, and it would help me be able to meet people. Whereas otherwise, I'd probably just be sitting there looking really weird. Um, because I'll be drawing, or like I'll be drawing on the train, and somebody will be like, "Oh, what are you working on?" And like, so art's been always been like a conversation starter too,
Mhm.
um, which has always been super helpful, dealing with anxiety and yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, it's really great to like have that escape because, being in social settings is it's so hard, especially when you're such like an anxious person. Like I can definitely relate to that. And it's like you don't want to socialize with people, but then you overthink about the fact that you're sitting there not socializing with people and you're like, I probably look really strange right now. I just need to get out of here. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
So having a sketchbook with me during those moments has always been my saving grace, I think.
mhm. Yeah, that's phenomenal. That's awesome. Um, what would you say, are there like any specific artists that you find have influenced you throughout your life?
um yeah, so I think I mentioned Dan Mumford,
Mhm.
and Fiona Staples of the comic books. I also always liked this artist called his name is Marco Mazzoni.
Mhm.
Um, he creates very dark kind of looking art, with nature, and a lot of the times the faces don't have actual faces. It's just like a head and eyes, and but everything's blank, and everything's like overrun with nature. So he's always been a huge influence with me, and I think that kind of overlapped into the band art, because I always do people. Oh yeah, you've got his stuff pulled up. I've always liked doing like nature and birds actually, but
Mhm.
I don't know. There's so much feeling in his work, and I always like that there's no actual faces. It's like it could be anybody.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. That's, yeah, no, I've never actually heard of that artist before, but that's really cool that, you know, it's I'm more of like more drawn to like darker pieces of art as well, and that's really cool that, you can portray just so much feeling into something without like saying anything or writing anything or whatever, but so I know you had said that you went to the art institute for school and everything. What did you major in when you were there? Was it just like graphic
My
design?
Yeah, my major was visual communications,
Mhm.
which is kind of an umbrella. Underneath that would be like graphic design, branding, logo creation, kind of just anything that uses a computer to communicate stuff. So like ads, and um, there's a little bit of animation and motion graphics involved, but most of what I worked on there was kind of a more corporate feeling,
Okay.
I guess. Um, so I don't know, I think that's why I'm more drawn to like the illustration and drawing part,
Hmm.
which didn't always come up like in my major. It was mostly um, graphic design. Um, so I feel like I've grown more after college,
Hmm.
even though like there's a lot of things I learned in college that like I would not have learned otherwise. But um, yeah,
Yeah, definitely. That's cool that that you're able to like work on stuff that you actually went to college for, especially since, you know, a lot of people don't actually get to do that. But it's cool that you've been able to like grow from there and, you know, just kind of use that as like your building blocks to get to where you are now.
Yeah. I think that's one of the most important things that I've kind of learned more recently is that like growth is more it's little bits and pieces.
Hmm.
It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Um
Yeah.
so a lot of times I struggle with like especially now that I'm trying to do more comic book style stuff. Um I've been trying to like pick something each day to try and study a little bit.
Hmm.
So whether it's like hands or just like drawing hundreds of feet or eyes or like maybe something like in the environment, like studying different leaves and stuff. And day to day, you don't really notice how you're getting better.
Hmm.
But like after doing this for like the past month, it's kind of like I go to draw something and I just draw the hand on the first try and I'll just be like, oh, okay. So now I can see like that it wasn't for nothing.
Hmm.
Um, which is kind of something I've had to learn more recently because before I would just get very frustrated um,
Hmm.
trying to draw like a figure or trying to draw something specific, and that just be like, this is pointless. I'm just not good at this, so might as well just not do that. I'll go draw something that I am good at. So I was stuck in that for longer than I want to admit. So it's kind of been nice now, being able to be more patient with myself on that, and that's probably what I would tell people who are trying to draw right now or try to learn it. Like, just be patient with yourself. Like, just doing things will cause you to grow, even if it doesn't seem like it in the minute, like in the moment that you're doing stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like for everyone, even if you're not exactly like the most creative person, like there's always something that you're like, there's an aspect of something that you're good at, but you're like, I try to avoid that at all costs because I know that I stink at it, or at least I think that I stink at it. So you just want to avoid it instead of working at it, and that's really cool that you've been able to like, you know, kind of like work it into your schedule, like here and there, just to kind of, you know, see if you can develop your skills on it.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to the whole thing where it's only scary till you do it.
Yeah.
Because once you do it, it's just you can plant your seed in it and then grow.
Hmm. Definitely. Um, so I know you had mentioned animation, and everything. Is that something that you are looking to eventually work on? I know, I think I saw a graphic on your Instagram maybe that you were doing like an animation. It was like a train scene.
Yeah. Um, that's just kind of something that I've always dabbled in a little bit. Um, was just trying to animate still drawings, so it's not totally like a full blown animation. It's kind of just adding in little elements to something that's been 2D. Um, but I actually recently got asked by a band to do a music video.
Yep.
Um, and it's very scary to think about, and I don't know if I can do it, but I want to try. Um, so that's definitely going to be a a huge learning curve there. But I've always been kind of inspired by stop motion animation. Um, so might have to draw thousands of frames, but it's only scary till you do it.
Right. Yeah. You just gotta keep telling yourself that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I've kind of learned too that your first of anything is going to be terrible. Um, like your first song you write's bad, the first drawing you're going to draw is bad. Everything you do your first is not going to be great. But as soon as you get that first out of the way, you'll learn and you can grow and you can the next one will be better and the next one will be better and it'll just keep being better. Um so it might be bad, but once I get that first one out of the way, I'll learn a lot. So it's kind of an exciting thing to look forward to.
Yeah, that's awesome that you get to dabble in that and just kind of like develop your craft while you're actually creating it for somebody. So that's really cool. Um, what would you so since art is like and creating is like a very huge part of your life and it's something that you enjoy a lot. It is there a do you find that you have a hard time like separating yourself like from work?
100%.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, everybody tells me that I work too much. Um, but I've noticed like at least with like illustration work, if I'm not doing it, I get very frustrated very quickly. So I try to draw at least once a day. Um, if I don't have like even with graphics, so if I'm doing like a more like a text-based thing for like a company because I have a couple contracts for freelance with doing like alcohol ads and just I don't want to call it boring because it's not boring, but it's not illustration. Um
It's more structured.
yeah, so if I have a full day of doing like graphics, I'll find myself at the end being really frustrated that I didn't draw anything that day. Um so I try to draw something at least once a day. Um but I don't know, I'm always creating stuff, but I also live in a family where we're all always creating stuff. So even like right now, like my boyfriend is writing stories and he's a photographer, so he's over there editing pictures.
Mhm.
And my dad is like working on screen printing and he's also a computer programmer, so he's always building stuff. So he's like working on his computer. And my mom is like she turned our living room is covered in ceramics right now, so she's downstairs doing like sculptures and stuff. So it's kind of just the environment that I'm in. It's just everybody's always creating something.
Mhm.
So I'm I don't know, it's I guess it's that saying too, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. So
Mhm.
I don't know if it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
They would kind of just always kind of create stuff, but
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like it's because I've seen I've had a lot of friends that especially during the pandemic have like opened up Etsy shops and stuff, and then they're like, the more business I get, it's exciting because I get to make money off of the things that I like doing, but at the same time, it becomes less fun for me. Do you ever find that that's something that you experience?
yeah, there's definitely a level of stress that comes with that. Plus, just that I think it's the world that we live in today. Everybody, at least in our country, um, wants to monetize everything. So
Mhm.
that's why it's kind of nice to have like the whole comic book thing right now because it's not no, it's not something that's for money. It's just like a way to learn and um, a way for like myself as an artist to do something that I want without having a deadline or like money behind it. Um, I'd say working with like bigger companies on the graphic design side of things, it gets to be a little bit frustrating with that, but working with the bands, it's never like it's not about the money. Like it's not about payment on that. There's always like ideas and some like the bands that I work with come up with great ideas all the time that are just like that's going to be awesome. So I just want to like
Mhm.
work with them just to do that piece.
Mhm.
So it kind of eliminates the money aspect of it.
Mhm. Yeah,
So I
that's
guess it depends on project.
mhm. Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, even though you do work in, art and creativity and everything like that every day, it sounds like, still having like that thing that's just for you, even if it's still dabbling in the same stuff, but it's not, like you said, not something that you are doing for a deadline or doing for any type of monetary value. It sounds like it's like a good outlet for you because it allows you to do that illustration that you said seems to help you relieve stress and everything. So that's really cool that you
Mhm.
still in all the bajillion things that you seem to seem to be involved in. It's cool that you still, find time for yourself and stuff that you enjoy because, a lot of times people ignore that and they don't realize that stuff like that like really affects their mental health. So,
Uh, Definitely. Yeah, I'd say like when I was like 3 months ago when I had my full time job, and it was in design, but it wasn't what I wanted to do at all.
Mhm.
It paid the bills, and that's pretty much it. But it was also a security blanket. Um, because yeah, it was scary, like taking that dive into to doing freelance full time. Um, but I could just like I didn't want to be like 60 years old just waiting around for retirement, having spent a whole career in something that just paid the bills. Um, and definitely since I've quit, my stress levels have gone down significantly. So I was very fortunate to be able to do that and still, have a roof over my head thanks to my parents. Um, so
That's great.
yeah,
It's something that a lot of people do that, they spend their whole lives like thinking about all the things that they'd like to do once they reach that point of retirement or whatever. But it's like, you just wasted all that time just thinking about it and not ever doing it. Like you said, it's only scary until you do it. Um, but yeah, no, that's great. That's really great that you've been able to, that you're fortunate enough to be able to do that and, just take that leap and still be able to do what you love while also getting rid of all that stress that, having like a job that you don't exactly love or enjoy, kind of bogging you down.
yeah.
Nice. Is there anything else that you like doing that feeds into like your mental health and everything and things that you like to do for yourself that doesn't involve art?
Um, I like going on walks. Um, so I try to do that as often as I can, even though, with deadlines and stuff, it does become a little hard. But like a couple weeks ago, me and my boyfriend drove to Starved Rock and like walked on the trails there, which is very relaxing. And um, I also like archery. So
Nice.
that's like the one thing that could never turn into anything that was like monetized was, just going in the yard and shooting stuff.
Mhm.
Just put an apple up on the fence and shoot it down, which I live, but there's a field behind me. So it's not like I'm just shooting arrows out into nothing like a
Yeah.
crazy person. Um, so I'd say like just connecting with nature.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. That's it's nice to like not stare at a screen all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I have noticed too I probably need to go get better glasses because staring at a screen for 18 hours a day has killed my eyesight a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, blue light glasses only do so much for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, do you find that I know you create like a lot of alternate universes in a lot of your artwork, especially recently. Is there do you find that you still enjoy pulling like the things that you enjoy other than like that kind of stuff? Like, do you find like nature because you like connecting with nature a lot? Do you find that that still influences a lot of your artwork?
Definitely. Yeah. I always put a lot of plants and flowers into things. Um, but even just like walking through the woods and stuff. Like I used to run through the forest preserve a lot. That's where the Etsy name came from with Dear Friend. Because I'd always like try and run early in the morning or like evening and try and see like deer walking across the path.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's definitely a huge influence in the stuff that I do. Plus, like everybody's so obsessed with plants now, so
Yeah,
it's kind of become a plus in recent years with just drawing plants.
yeah, it's become like the new hip thing. It's like everybody is involved in the whole plant shop thing now. So
Hmm.
kind of cool that that's like a thing that people enjoy now. Um, but yeah, no, that's fantastic. When you had your job, did you like were you working in the city? Did you have to like have like a commute or anything?
Yeah, I was working in Chicago, so right now I'm in Orland Hills. So
Okay.
it's if there's no traffic, I could get there in like 20 minutes. But that's not the case. And since COVID started, like the COVID restrictions started lifting up a little bit, traffic is awful. Um, so it could take an hour and a half, 2 hours to get there. So not having that commute in my day, I think just opens up so many possibilities. That's like 4 extra hours a day where I'm able to just create.
Yeah, it's crazy. So you live in Orland Hills. I live in Midlothian, so I'm.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I relate to that big time with the monstrous commute.
And all the construction.
It's a never-ending process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely been like one saving grace from, COVID and everything is that, being forced to go into lockdown for a lot of it, everybody had to adapt to like this whole new working from home structure. And that's been really nice for me at least because instead of commuting for like an hour and a half to 2 hours when it comes to the crazy traffic, I can roll out of bed and like actually enjoy my morning and then just go to my computer and start working.
Yeah, that's a my at my last job, we never actually went remote. So every day I was still like required to be into the office, and so it was great for a little bit. There was no cars on the road. It was kind
Mhm.
of creepy almost,
Yeah.
driving like with nobody else on the road. So when I went freelance, it was actually the first time ever, like in my entire life, that I've worked from home, and
Mhm.
I don't think I could go back.
Yeah, it's definitely different, especially I mean, and now a lot of people are like companies are I know some are like, "You know what? We can stick with this remote working thing." And then a lot of other ones are like, "We'd like people to be in the office." It's definitely,
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like with like the 5-day work week like situation, like 8+ hours, like it's not sustainable.
yeah. Well, I found so too. Like some people, um, it's better for them. I think.
Mhm.
Um, I'd prefer to be, at my desk in my room in my pajamas with the dog. Um,
Mhm.
but like some people, they don't do well by themselves.
Yes.
Um, so I don't know. I guess it depends on. I think you should have a choice
Yeah,
because,
definitely.
like, yeah, some people need interaction to for their mental health to be able to
Mhm.
interact with others face to face and all
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, definitely. Everybody's different in how they react to that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess we're getting close to our end time. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about or mention or anything?
um, I guess I just want to say thank you for like creating this because I mean that's what you're doing with the festivals. You're creating a community. So I think it's important that that there's a safe space for people to be able to go to if they're struggling. Um, which I know is it's a common theme with artists and musicians and anything in the creative field. So just thank you for creating this community.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really a huge pleasure to be able to work with, different creatives like yourself and everybody else that we have on the roster for the next couple of days. It's been incredible to connect with people who are so like-minded or very different and just it's I don't know, it's just it's nice to connect with people that all are interested in the same kind of cause, taking care of each
Hmm.
other and everybody's mental health and everything because a lot of people either don't foster stuff like that in their daily lives and they don't think about it or know much about it. And then there's some people who, they're like forced to think about it every day because it does affect their everyday lives. So it's really great to be able to work with people that are truly interested in the things that we're doing. Um, and yeah, it's been incredible just to see like how different people express themselves through their artwork. Whether it's we've got film, like a little mini film showing over the next couple days, and then we've got the 3D art gallery, which is really cool. Your pieces are up in there, I do believe. Um, we've got a couple of other people in there too, but yeah. So thank you for just being open to roll with the punches. I know you said you haven't done a festival before, so that's really cool that you wanted to be involved. So thank you as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, well, I guess we can transition from our interview then. It was really great to meet you face to face. Um, After just talking with you about your artwork and everything, it's been incredible talking with you for the last hour. Um,
Yeah, you as well.
yeah, thank you. And we're really excited to have the collab piece you did for Art Gives Us Hope as a print and a T-shirt, and also the other pieces that you have in your Etsy shop for uh, partially benefiting us. So yeah, I mean the network can probably toss that in the chat somewhere, so people can check it out. But yeah, thank you again. Really look forward to working with you again in the future.
Yeah,
And
you too.
thank you. Best of luck with everything you've got going on. It sounds like you've got a pretty full plate, but it sounds like you're doing what you're enjoying, and that's awesome.
Just
That's great.
taking it one day at a time. So,
Yeah, I mean that's all you can do, right?
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Shannon. I hope you have a good holiday.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks.